Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, Christina's Life. I wanted to share with you the 5 shifts in my mindset that have changed my life. Shift number 1 is I started changing my verbiage from I can't to I will. What's the difference? When you tell yourself I can't, that means a permanent state. I cannot, and then fill in the blank. Even though there's something you want to do, but you might not physically, mentally, or emotionally be able or ready to do it, you still want to. I want you to shift your mind and start thinking instead of I can't, I cannot, to I will. When you tell yourself I will, that gives you a future state to look forward to. An example can be there was a point in my life when the only type of exercise I was able to do was to run. I didn't have any other time other than running in the morning. I didn't have time to go to the gym. I didn't have time to do anything else. I had a set block of time, and the only thing where I lived, there was no gym equipment. The only workout I was able to do was run. I had a goal in mind that I wanted to be able to run a half marathon. After having a baby, I was not able to. I was not training to be able to run. I never ran long distance before. So instead of telling myself I can't, I told myself I will. And then I took that goal and I broke it into smaller pieces. You can't wake up one day and say, I'm going to run a little over 13 miles and see what happens, right? You need to start small. And so when you have a goal, you break it up into smaller chunks and then you chip away each time you go towards that goal. So what I did was, hey, I want to be able to run a mile. I was able to do it and I checked that off. My next step was, hey, I want to be able to run a 5K. Even though I couldn't at the time, I told myself, but I will.
And so
And
over time, I did. I completed my half marathon.
the next mindset shift that I have to share with you is progress over perfection. Now, I know there are those of you that are perfectionists. I used to be one of them. With that, though, I have learned that progress is way more important than perfection. Why is that? Because even making small progress day after day after day, that will bring more value and substance than delivering something that you think can be achieved at a perfectioned state. Because there is no such thing. You achieving something at 80% is better than achieving nothing at 0% because you thought you had to be perfect. And so I would challenge you in anything that you do. Take the approach of having progress over perfection. And this can go to anything. Starting a business, a home project, all those type of things. Chip away at slow progress. Those will give you those bigger wins, other than thinking, hey, something needs to be done and it needs to be done at the level of being perfect, because it will never be. My next mindset shift for you is to think about failure as feedback, not so much being a final state. Reason being, you are you are continuously growing and improving. You are not the same person you were a year ago, and you're not the same person you were 5 years ago or 10 years ago. At least I hope not. With that, as humans, we are made and designed to adapt and change and mature over time. Give yourself a little bit of grace when you do make mistakes and when you do fail, because you will fail. But take it from the perspective of, hey, that was a chance to learn something. What did you learn? What is that silver lining? And how can you be better next time? And that goes with almost anything. That can be from a coaching session one on one with an employee to, hey, a marriage didn't work. What did you learn from it? And how can you be better next time? So you honestly can take that approach from small tasks to big life decisions. And I want you to think through that. Failure is not final, it's just feedback. The next mindset shift I have for you is to focus on how little control you actually have. Most people don't want to hear this. I won't be surprised if people shut this off. But like it or not, you have very little control over anything that happens in your life. You cannot control your spouse. You cannot control your children. You cannot control your coworkers or your boss. What you can control is yourself. You can control your emotions and how you handle them. You can control your reactions and what you choose to do with them. You control you. Other than that, everything else is out of your control. With that said, I would challenge you to redirect energy to focus on what you truly internally can control. Can you influence things? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not saying you can't. But be mindful about how much energy you're putting into certain things. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, you cannot control how somebody reacts, responds, What they do, what they say, how they feel, you can influence, but you can't control it. And if I was a betting person, there's always opportunity to internally reflect and put the energy towards yourself and what you choose to focus on. And I don't know about you, but I know for me, I always have opportunities to continue to reinvest in myself and continue to try to improve how I present myself each and every day. So, with that, focus on how much you really can control. Because, in all honesty, it's little to none. The last mindset shift I have to share with you today is that growth requires you to be uncomfortable. I talk to clients, friends, family all the time, and they're like, well, I want to be here, but I'm here. How do I get here? And I'm like, okay, well, these are the steps. These are the things you need to do. And they're like, well, I don't want to do that. I've never done that before. That's new or scary or makes me uncomfortable. Growth requires you to be uncomfortable. The only way to grow is that you get uncomfortable because that is how you are changing. When you are uncomfortable, that is when you know you are going through growth. I'll give you an example. I stepped into a leadership role that I have not been in before. It was more high visibility. It was a space where I had to be a leading example for others. I've never been in that position before. I was always like a work lead. I was always setting the example by my tactical work. I was never the example based on my performance and my, what's that word? My presence. It was my presence that would make or break me in this role. And so that was something really new for me to have to learn. I had to learn how to start conversations with people who I've never met. I don't have anything in common with them other than probably our work relationship. Other than that, I had to learn how to build relationships with complete strangers. As you get to know me, and as my videos will share, that's not a strong tendency of mine. That is not something that comes naturally to me. And so I've had to grow in that so much. And even now, it's still a space where I am learning and building those muscles. And it requires times when I rather run. I rather run under like a rock and hide sometimes. That's kind of what it feels like to me as a natural introvert, right? But because I have a different role, I wear different hats, I have to show up, I have to be present, I have to do the role, I have to execute, I have to perform, I have got to make, I gotta just step out of my comfort zone and I've got to be uncomfortable. And as time has gone on, it has honestly gotten better. It has gotten easier, but it's still a muscle that I need to flex and work on and grow with. So with that, the takeaway here is that growth requires you to be uncomfortable. If you are not uncomfortable, I would challenge to say that you are not growing, not substantially growing, anyways. With that, I wanted to say thank you for listening to my video. These are the 5 shifts for me that have been a life changer. 1, you shift your mind from I can't to I will. The next thing you do is focus on progress over perfection. Progress will always give you more results in the end. Next piece to think about is that failure is feedback, it's not final. Focus on how much you have control over, because in all honesty, it's very little and it's just you that you have control over. Last piece of advice I have is that growth requires you to be uncomfortable. So with that, I want to say thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. If you have any thoughts, feedback, mind shifts that you want to share with others, please drop those in the comments. If there's other things that you want to hear, please also let me know. Just throw those in the comments. I'll definitely look at those and see what feedback you guys have to say. With that, I want to say thank you. Thank you for your time. Till next time, keep growing, and I'll see you next time.